JBNN keep you informed. I'm Michelle Jones. Before we get into the news, please remember to like, subscribe, leave a comment, and share the news with someone today. Now on to the news. Shot man gunned down in Shelter Rock, Spanish Town. Police investigators of the St. Catherine North Division are probing the murder of a man in the community of Shelter Rock in Spanish Town on Friday. That is 27-year-old Kishon McFarlane, otherwise called Shotman, who was a resident of the community. According to reports, about 11:35 a.m., residents heard explosions and summoned the police. Upon arrival, McFarlane was found with what appeared to be gunshot wounds to the neck and back. He was assisted to the nearby Spanish Town Hospital, where he was pronounced dead. The police have not yet established a motive in McFarlane's death. The Spanish Town Criminal Investigation Branch is investigating the matter. Farmer killed in Manchester. A 28-year-old farmer was shot dead at his home in Dobson District in Manchester on Friday night. The deceased has been identified as Chevroy Dunwell. A police report said about 9:15 p.m., residents heard explosions and called the police. Upon the arrival of the police, Dunwell was found lying on his left side with what appeared to be gunshot wounds to the upper body and right ankle. He was taken to the hospital and pronounced dead on arrival. Police statistics show that up to June 28, Manchester recorded 12 murders since the start of the year, when compared to 21 murders for the corresponding period last year. Man fatally shot in Ocho Rios. The police in Centon have launched an investigation into the fatal shooting of a man in Ocho Rios last night. The deceased has been identified as 53-year-old Gerald Kenzie Small, otherwise called Jerry, an entrepreneur from Commodore District in St. Catherine. According to reports, about 11:35 p.m., Small was standing along Main Street in Ocho Rios in the vicinity of a bar when he was pounced upon by assailants and shot. He was assisted to hospital where he was pronounced dead. No motive has yet been established in the matter. Catherine Hall community mourns death of young woman. The community of Catherine Hall is now in a state of mourning as residents try to come to grips with the death of one of their own. 20-year-old Kajay Castle, a hotel worker, was found by firefighters on Saturday morning in the upstairs bedroom of a two-story dwelling that she was renting at the time of her death. As residents gathered outside, there were rumors as onlookers questioned what could have led to her losing her life in such a manner. Chief among them was Member of Parliament for the St. James West Central constituency, Marlene Malahoo Fort. I have more questions than answers that have been provided so far based on what I've seen on the tour inside, she said. I think we'll just have to wait for the investigations, she continued. The questions arise from alleged happenings prior to her death. There were whispers of her having an argument with someone early in the day. However, investigators have said they are unable to provide information as it relates to the incident just yet. Reports coming forward are that the young woman was at home alone in the early hours of Saturday morning when screams were heard. Shortly after, smoke and flames were seen coming from the room which she occupied. Residents tried to assist but that proved futile and firefighters were called in. 2 units from the Barney Street Fire Station responded to the scene and managed to contain the blaze before it could spread to adjoining and other nearby buildings. Malahoo Fort, along with counsel for the Spring Gardens Division, Dwight Crawford, was taken on a quick tour of the site after the police had moved on to get a better understanding of what had taken place. It's just a horrible incident which has resulted in the loss of life, she said. Crawford explained that he also had questions about the incident as well, based on what he has seen. Quite peculiar after hearing the explanations. I spoke with the mother, and she is absolutely devastated. And my heart goes out to the family, and as you said, MP, there are definitely more questions than answers, he said. Malahoo Fort also used the opportunity to express her condolences to the family and the loved ones of the young woman. I want to express my condolences to those who are left mourning this death, she said. Cops kill man in alleged confrontation in Bull Bay, St. Thomas. The Independent Commission of Investigations Indicom is probing the fatal shooting of a man in the wee hours Thursday at the Suncoast Beach Club residential complex in Bull Bay, St. Thomas. Information received is that the police went to the residential property about 2:45 a.m. and attempted to execute a warrant for a wanted man. The police, on entering the property, were allegedly fired upon and reportedly returned fire. When the smoke cleared, a man by the name of Jess D. Christie was found suffering from gunshot wounds. He was assisted to the Kingston Public Hospital, where he was pronounced dead. The police say one Ruger 9mm pistol was seized. It is understood that the wanted man and target of the operation was in Christie's company, but managed to escape. Sources close to the investigation would only add that he's wanted for serious offenses. Businessman Kevin Frith, who developed Suncoast Beach Club, said he is to meet with the police to get a full understanding of what occurred at the location. A resident of Bull Bay said the shooting caused consternation in the dead of morning. Not now going to Bull Bay. So me I say, I want for them shot there. I want the morning light. May I get to understand that a police and man in a shootout. What is more shocking is that over Suncoast, the resident said. The Morant Bay Criminal Investigation Branch is investigating the shooting and firearm recovery. As of July 3, 166 people were killed during alleged confrontations with the police in Jamaica. The breakdown includes 28 in January, 28 in February, 25 in March, 30 in April, 25 in May, 26 in June, and 4 so far in July. A total of 189 people were killed for the entire 2024. Between 2024 and 2025, a total of 36 police officers have been charged following investigations by Indicom. No motive yet for double murder candlelight vigil. The police are trying to establish a motive for Thursday night's deadly attack at a candlelight vigil in Duckenfield District, Essex, on the border of St. Mary and St. Catherine. 2 people were killed when men said to be traveling on motorcycles opened fire at patrons at the candlelight vigil being held for Dejanay Graham. The 21-year-old teacher was fatally shot by a policeman's boyfriend during a domestic dispute in St. Mary on June 25. The deceased have been identified as 31-year-old Shaquille Harris, also known as Nick or Big Red, an ex-member of the Jamaica Defense Force, and the 22-year-old Tiffany Dowse, also known as Chantel, both of St. Catherine addresses. Superintendent Richard Hilton, head of the Major Investigations Division, said that his team of investigators have been dispatched to St. Mary to take charge of the investigation. Superintendent Hilton added that the police have no evidence that the victims are related to the police constable who remains on the police guard in hospital. About 10:30 p.m., Harris and Dowse were at the vigil when explosions were heard. Both victims received bullet wounds and were pronounced dead at hospital. Harris, who was dishonorably discharged from the military, is believed to have been the target of the attack. Dowse's mother, Althea Dawkins, says her daughter was visiting the community and had no connection to the other victim. She said her daughter was a final-year university student. In the meantime, Graham's 77-year-old cousin was found unresponsive on his veranda in Essex on Friday morning, hours after attending her candlelight vigil. He was pronounced dead at hospital. Western Resilience Water Project gets underway. The government has promised a complete transformation of the water supply for Western parishes. This under the Western Resilience Water Project, launched on Friday in Trelawney. Matthew Samuda, Minister with responsibility for water, speaking at the ceremony, said the project is aimed at establishing linkages with water sources across Western parishes.
This phase of this project will invest 28 billion Jamaican dollars in 2 transmission mains that will move water from the Martha Brae to the terminal reservoir in the center of St. James, which will transform the water supply in Montego Bay and its environs. So if you're in Westgate Hills, you will benefit too. If you are in Lucy, you will benefit. And you say, well, how do I benefit in Lucy? Well, because we'll no longer be pumping water into the ground from leaking pipes going into Montego Bay, there will be less pressure on Great River. But we also acknowledge that the pipelines going into the west end of Negril, all the way from Great River, are also old. So we will also be changing the transmission mains fully and totally from Lucy to the west end of Negril. There will be repairs and some replacements from the Great River treatment plant itself into Lucy. Now that is 68 kilometers total of pipe. At some points it will be as large as 36 inches, at other points it will be 24 inches of ductile iron pipes. Now these are massive pipes. There will be dislocation while we do this work. But Prime Minister, I have minuted, and I see members of the JHDA here, in our consultations, they said, you don't worry about the traffic when you're laying those pipes because we need the pipes, Minister. So I assure you we won't have any complaints about traffic during the construction phase of this project.
JBNN will keep you informed. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, leave us a comment, and click the notification bell to receive our daily news items.